All right, guys, electric car market. The electric car market in 2023, where are we at with this stuff? Where's Porsche at with it? Where's all the other brands? Where's McLaren at with it? Been watching some YouTube videos on this, and I thought it'd be worth making a video just by observing other people working on EV cars. This goes for hybrid, this goes for regular electric cars, Teslas, everything. Nobody's left out. Toyota, nobody's left out of this one. What exactly is the status? So we've been using lithium-ion batteries for quite a while. All you guys know that have lithium-ion drill batteries, any kind of cell phone battery, camera batteries, the average life expectancy is probably around 5 to 7 years. That's about how much you get out of one of those batteries before you got to replace it. And on those little devices, that's fine. I got one right here. Stuff like this, right? Little things like that, it's fine. A new battery is 50 or 100 bucks. With cell phone, it's 20 bucks or whatever it is. It's cheap now. And you replace it and away you go. You continue using your device or your power tool or whatever it is. The electric cars, a lot of times the battery is anywhere from 20 to 30 grand. So where does that leave you? Where does that leave you when you go buy a new Tesla or a McLaren P1? You know what I'm talking about. Things like that. A McLaren is enough money to where you justify doing it. A Tesla is not really enough money to 5 years in ownership. You have to replace the battery. So the fortunate part about that is 5 to 7 years is the failure point. You start losing your charge essentially immediately. If you pull out your cell phone and look at your cell phone, it has a battery meter on it. If it's an iPhone, you can tell what your health of your battery is. And every one of you right now should pull out your cell phone, probably watching this on your cell phone, so wait till the video is over. Go into your settings, go into battery, and actually look and see what your battery health is. That'll tell you how good is your battery. Right? My phone's about a year old, and battery's already down to 81% left on it. And that's how much, that's the health of it, not the charge, what is charged at the second. And so next year it'll be probably half of that. Next year it'll be half of that. And then it'll be unusable. And that's how it works. So the whole angle of electric cars is to reduce emissions, right? So electric cars actually have some of the highest carbon emissions you could possibly get. It costs more to make those cars. It's dirtier to make those cars with the batteries and all that stuff. And I actually saw a very interesting podcast by a famous dude. And let's call him Joe. And I don't watch Joe much, but I happened to see like a short clip of it. And they were doing research on emissions from a full electric vehicle. And actually, the most emissions from it was from the brake pads on the cars. Brakes on cars are some of the dirtiest things you possibly get. And, they're right. If you spray the brake dust eliminator stuff on your paint, on your wheels, anything around your car, it's going to turn color. It's going to be brake dust everywhere, over everything. And you guys know I worked on cars before. You take a wheel off, the inside of the wheel is all brake dust. Even with ceramics, it's a little bit better. But still, you have to press brake pads against discs to make friction to stop. And I forgot what the numbers were, but it was far worse than anything coming out the tailpipe as far as that goes, as far as on-ground emissions and things like that. So when is there going to be a new battery come out? For talk of the saltwater batteries, is any of that being put in production? No, it's not. What is life expectancy of a saltwater battery? We don't know. There's not really enough information out there yet to even know that. But if we're going to go to all electric cars or even all hybrids, which we're pushing to do, technology needs to catch up because it is not there. It's not. If you live in a city, you work in that little part of the city, you go to the grocery store, you do every little thing within a short distance, that's a lot different deal. You can use stuff like that. But where we live in rural Missouri, you start out, let's say you go buy a brand new Tesla, you got 350 to 400 miles on a charge. Most places we have to drive here is at the minimum 20 minutes to get to the store. To get to an actual store in the city, we're basically 2 hours away from St. Louis, or from 3 hours away from Memphis. You know, anything at all to get actual real stores other than Lowe's and the grocery store. You have to drive that far. Can you make a trip from my house to St. Louis in an electric car? Maybe. You'd be pushing it. You'd be pushing it real hard. The next problem is cold weather. Let's say at 350 or 400 miles in summertime, like it is now, it's 90 degrees outside. But in Missouri, it's not 90 degrees all the time. It's all over the place. And, you know, half of the year it's 20 degrees or 30 degrees. So at 20 or 30 degrees, you have essentially a quarter to a third of the battery life starting out. So then you can't make it anywhere. You can't do anything. You know, and then you had that looming over you with the cost, the $20,000 battery or $15,000 battery, depends on where you buy it, after just a few years of ownership. So you're not going to have high mileage on this car after a few years like you do a gas vehicle, because you just can't drive the distances that you would rack up the kind of miles on a gas vehicle. You just can't do it. Unless you're into stopping, you know, stop and charge, you're going to take 4 hours to do an hour trip. I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. So a lot of you guys have Teslas. You know, we've all looked at them and hybrid stuff. My advice to you guys, you need to wait a little bit. Everybody needs to hold up just a little bit. We're not there yet. You know, and just as BMW and even Porsche with the recycled plastic stuff, pushing that stuff out by the millions of pounds of recycled plastic on coolant lines and engine stuff, and don't hold up. It fails very prematurely. They need to go back and rethink that. Whatever process you use to do that, they need to rethink that and change the makeup of their, whatever they add to the recycled plastic to strengthen it. They need to figure that out. If you're going to use it on engine parts, obviously on non-heated parts, everything's fine for the most part. But there's a lot of stuff needs to be done. Unfortunately, we're in a time and era to where it seems like nobody really cares and things don't get done. You know, if you have to go to the doctor these days, you have to do anything else, take your car to the mechanic shop. What you're going to find is people really barely care, and it's a mess. Once you have to take something somewhere and it's out of your hands, you have to rely on somebody else to do it. It usually turns into a big disaster, and you see it a lot. You know, so I don't know. That's my thoughts on electric cars. You guys, this is just a FYI video. You can do whatever you want. I'm not going to judge either way. My thoughts are, cool it with electric cars for a little bit. Let's take a step back. Let's figure out, you know, why, what, when, and where, instead of just do now, deal with the problems later. And that's the situation. But hope you guys liked today's video. That's my thought on electric cars. We'll see you back again very soon with another video. Have a good day.